All right, what is up, guys? After an hour's worth of technical difficulties, we are now live. It is the first episode, the pilot episode of the Strictly Broken podcast. We call it the stand-up podcast, and we're planning to do this every week. Every week on Friday releases at noon. So tune in. We're going to be talking about the latest Vanguard news, trying to keep up to date all the time. Tournaments, just any news in general. And I'm joined by not just three of some of the best players I know, but also my producer. I want to give him a shout out, Thomas. Great guy. He plays Waste, but he's here helping us with the Vanguard podcast. So awesome. But without further ado, why don't you guys all introduce yourselves?
Simon's going first, right?
No, Nicky can.
All right, hi, I'm Nicky. Nicky Goldman. I am a California player in Los Angeles. And yeah, I have multiple tops the past few years. A lot of third, second places. First yet. Yeah.
I'm Phil Lai from Toronto, Canada, and I play Vanguard and Weiss. And so you might know me from winning BCS Chicago like a couple of weeks back. And so I'm known for that, I guess, now. And some other stuff. You can check out the roster for like more details on like all of us. But yeah, we're part of Strictly Broken.
And I'm Simon. I'm from Seattle, Washington. My most recent accomplishment was 4th place in Premium in Richmond. Been playing since the game came out. Multiple tops since then. 2 championships. And yeah, I like Vanguard, I guess.
Awesome guys. Welcome to the podcast. You might see some new faces throughout the weeks, but you might see some new faces throughout the weeks, but these are the guys we have on here for you guys today. Before we get started, just real quick, if you guys need singles, you guys can go to www.strictlybrokentcg.com, pick up some Vanguard singles, and you can use the code #, all caps, to get 5% off your Vanguard order. So you guys support us by watching the show, and we support you by getting 5% off. Okay, let's jump straight into it. Richmond, where Strictly is located, BC. We had our regionals literally last weekend. Some crazy things happened. Crazy to the point where you might think our region is pretty bad. But anyone want to run down what went down in Richmond?
Yeah, Simon can run it down since he was there.
Sure. So let's see. In top 8, there was 5 Bermuda players, 1 Aquaforce, 1 DP, and 1 Royal. Our fellow Stephen Lee, Wei Ho Chu, and Tyler Yu played Bermuda and topped with that deck. I unfortunately played Narukami and placed 10th even after going X1. So feels bad.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah.
This is standard.
Tiebreakers.
Standard?
This is standard, correct, right?
Yeah, this is standard. Tiebreakers. So, and then for a premium, it was like I went undefeated. In top 8, there was Stephen Lee and I. There was 4 Ezels, 1 Jenny Congo, 1 Kaguro, 1 Neo Nectar, and 1 Spike. And yeah, I made it past the Neo Nectar player. Faced Kaguro. I beat him in Swiss, but he double crits me on Force 2 when I'm at 2 damage. So I die, and then Stephen Lee got double critted on 2, and then we play each other, and then Stephen Lee got the salty run back on me, and so I got 4th, and he got 3rd.
And let's not forget the Kaguro player ends up winning premium.
Yeah, he is. He won last year with Spike Brothers. Yeah, Dominic. So he'll be going to Worlds again. Yeah.
So
sorry, I'm gonna cut in here. So the biggest crazy thing that we know from this regionals is that Royal Paladin won for standard, and no one was expecting that, and then Kaguro won for premium, and no one was expecting that. And even though like it was like more than half Bermuda for standard and more than half Ezel for premium, right? We still got like these crazy results where like first and second we're just playing decks that like people weren't expecting to win.
I think the results for that is mainly because I don't know. I didn't watch any of their matches, the winners' matches, but it seems like a lot of speculation is because the decks play a lot more crits. They just were able to double crit a lot of people into their position.
So you're saying they got lucky?
I don't know. I didn't watch any of the games. I saw Kyle, the second place Bermuda player. He double crit on a force 2 the DP Josh Stetzer in top 8. Josh Stetzer didn't even get to play the game. He was still on grade 2.
Lovely. I remember Steven told me that in his top 4 game, he was grade stuck at 0, G assisted for his 1, and missed. And he was playing against the Bermuda mirror, where his opponent opened up double Ezel a lot. So that was like an instant loss, and so that's that for him, right?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Here's a question. Here's a spin. So we tried to film something last week, didn't end up working out, but in our predictions, we said Narukami was going to be a good day. And in standard, no Narukami's made top 8.
Whoa.
Big bubbles.
I got 10th because of my tiebreaker. I lost in the second round. Leave me alone.
All right. Besides Bushiroad's awful tournament system, why do you think that no Narukami's made it? Like, Narukami is a really good deck. It also has like a really good Bermuda matchup, right? So why do you think none made
The
top 8?
Bermuda matchup with Narukami, like, it's just like it's supposedly good because you can kill rears, but like the early game Bermuda has is crazy. The fact that Lizelot just like, gets the top card, like kind of just nullifies Narukami's mind effects. It's just like, and Bermuda just has such big columns that like Narukami can't survive.
Yeah, that matchup comes down to who goes first. Whoever goes first has like a huge advantage. I also don't know how many people were actually playing Narukami there. Like Simon was playing it, right? But we don't know how many others. So it might have just been like not really represented well. On the other hand, I know like everyone's playing Bermuda, right?
There was quite a few. Not in the end of the top tables. I think Stephen Lee mentioned that the percentage of Bermuda winning is more in its favor if they go first and they open up. There's a lot. So there it jumps from like 70 or 50-50 to 70-30. So I think that's legit.
And other than that, I think, as expected, 5 Bermuda top 8. Royals winning. Royals winning. Does that mean anything? I mean, 4 drive checks is a lot of drive checks, and like you kind of have to commit more cards to guard the rear sometimes, because if you know what, it's the typical Vanguard problem, and like now it's happening on rear. So do you think the deck was underrated?
I always thought the deck was good. I always just kind of thought that Narukami and Bermuda were a little better in it. That doesn't mean that it's not going to win. It's still a strong deck, right? And so I guess in this case it won. But then like if you talk about like overall odds and like favoritism, then like sure we still put like the what's the word? We still put the favorite in like the other 2 decks, right? But the other deck like Royals is still strong.
The fact that Narukami can bind Blaster Blade really hurts Royals, just because like they can't keep recuperating Blaster Blade from drop, and they always have to call it from hand in order to make it work.
All right, so I guess it's a solid deck. It's just there's a better decks to play, and this guy chose Royals, but it can clutch it out. I guess that's the conclusion.
So I actually know the guy who won. He's one of those many players that love Royals and sticks with Royals, and that's good that he stuck with it. So it won. That's the thing I commend like players who like to stick with their favorite deck. It can still win.
Shows commitment.
Okay. But for premium, okay, let's just touch up on premium. I know premium's not as popular, but for those that are dedicated to premium, I think they typically define it as an extremely skill-intensive format. Or not extremely, but more skill-intensive, and random decks don't tend to win. But Kaguro did. So sorry, we have some technical difficulties, but hopefully he's back soon. Just what do you guys think, Simon or Nicky? Like, do you think there's a reason Kaguro won?
It was just the variance, 12 crit, like
that new card that came out. I don't know what it's called, but it came out in Premium Collection. It's where your opponent G guards or use a PG, it restands, and that's pretty deadly. on a Force 2, to be honest.
It is.
I
It's
don't know
really
what
good
its
strat.
name.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. The resetting band.
Yeah.
It can be like kind of crazy if like you don't have like 2 PGs or like a G guard and a PG, but like if you're able to survive that, they don't really have that much defense besides like denial. So
Yeah.
yeah, having 12 crit though really like helps the deck just because like they're pretty much always going to be like swinging for game, especially if
Yeah.
they're going to be drive checking like that many.
Especially if they Legion 2, I believe they can swing multiple times for like just ridiculous.
They can like swing drive check 6 times
Yeah.
if they do the full combo.
Yeah. But sorry, the stride is called Flare General Jumindin Dumjin Valor. Sorry.
Hey, sorry about that.
And
Not
Phil's
bad.
back. Phil's back.
Okay.
All right. Hopefully, the audience, you guys aren't too tilted from that. We've experienced so many technical difficulties, so we're not going to stop the cast.
Just like
but,
pretend that didn't happen. Sorry.
yeah. So the deck wins. 12 crit. What else were you saying? Oh, 4 golds made top 8 though, and golds should be notoriously good against that deck. So, and I know. You told your tale. But your phone fell. We can see her.
Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. So like you got double critted and with Force 2 for game. If that didn't happen, were you in a position to just straight up win?
I believe so. I was able to take one more attack. If he just crit me once, I would have been able to survive, and then my next turn would have been more explosive. I would have been able to gather more cards. I just didn't open up Wonder Zels to pop off more, so it's what it is. I don't mind.
On a side note, sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, on a side note, how do you feel about them like cutting rounds? I don't know if they cut rounds in premium, but like standard they cut.
Yeah, they did cut a round. It's understandable as they cut rounds based on if the best way to get to just one undefeated. And by the 7th round, we got to just one undefeated. If the person who pairs down, like loses, then that affects it. So if the pair down, the guy that's undefeated gets paired down and he wins, then there will be one more round. There wasn't.
Do you think they should be doing rounds based off players instead of like just one XO? Instead,
That would
I
be kind
feel
of
like
hard
it.
to say. Yeah.
I feel like they should just do the math and then cut the round where like every X1 makes it and maybe like a couple X2s make it. What ended up happening in Chicago, right, was that in both standard and premium, they added rounds. And so the tournament took a lot longer than what everyone was expecting. And so I think premium went up to like 9 rounds or something crazy like that.
That's nuts.
they did the right amount of rounds, like so that like,
we ended up
no-
having for standard there were 2 blocks, right? Basically every X1 in both those blocks except for one of them who came 9th got it in. So that was fine, right? For premium they had to cut it and they made it in a way where some X2s made it in, like maybe 3 or 4, something like that. Yeah, I feel like cutting it to having a certain amount of rounds and then cutting it where all the X1s make it in and some X2s make it in is probably the best way to go. But I mean, I'm not Bushiroad, so I can't say. Also, something really crazy happened in what's it called? Chicago as well for Weiss, right? So for Weiss, it was originally 6 rounds, right? And they added a 7th round. But the thing is that if you had a buy card, right, and it's a 6-round tournament, you got 1 buy. But since they upped it to a 7-round, you still only get 1 buy. But then normally you would have had 2 buys, right, for a 7-round tournament. So yeah, so all those guys with buy cards like basically lost the buy in a 7-round tournament because they increased the rounds by 1. That's big.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So I feel like they should probably do something about that, fix it some way or another, because like when that happens, it's not good.
Tio needs to.
Yeah, I mean it's logistical stuff. Like I don't want to get too much into it. Like I'm sure running a tournament is hard. I'll just like wrap it up, right? Like I wouldn't fault them. Like I think I enjoy playing the tournaments regardless. So, Bushiroad, sponsor us, please. Don't.
If anything, it's just something to work on, right? Like we all understand, but then it's just like some things can be improved as we go.
But yeah, so okay, fair enough. I think that's like a good word to end the regionals. 5 SP players made top 8. over the 2-day period. So shout outs to the team. Let's see if we can get better results in other regionals. Go team, go.
Texas, baby.
Yeah, Texas. Let's get first in Texas, Nicky. Are you know what I mean? Okay, wrapping that up. Let's talk about Secaucus. Texas is in 2 weeks, but Secaucus, New Jersey is next week. And this tournament's kind of interesting because the ban list is live for this tournament. So all those like oppressive decks got hit a bit in standard and premium, Bermuda, blah 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 blah. But it's also a week before the release of Phantasmal Steed. So it's like this really weird tournament that's we're only gonna see for this one. It's a meta that we're literally only gonna see for this one tournament. Do you guys have any thoughts? What is the play for the tournament, for standard and for premium? Just any thoughts in general of this format?
I think DI is like a sleeper deck. I don't know if a lot of players will play it.
For premium, right? For premium?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I should do standard first.
Standard.
So this week,
DI,
you're talking about this weekend, right? Before
Yeah.
the next set comes out.
Yeah, Phantasmal isn't out this weekend, I think.
Right.
Not yet.
So,
I guess it's just post aerial seed, pretty much.
yeah.
Yeah.
So for
like,
this, we're talking about Secaucus only. So you won't
Yeah.
have aerial Steed. So this is like this very specific meta of post ban list, no, not aerial.
no Phantasmal.
Phantasmal.
Yeah.
What do you
I
think?
think for standard, you'll still see this pretty much the same things, especially with a lot of the stuff from the previous set mixed in, Narukami, Royals. I'm highly sure people will still play Bermuda. Just
Okay,
those,
explain.
just like the grade 3 turn for Bermuda is just too strong for especially if you're going first. Like, I understand your early game is pretty weak, but I think people will still believe it's good enough to survive to the grade 3 and then kill your opponent with fat numbers.
I think Narukami will have like a much better matchup now.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to see a lot more Narukami. There might be some Royals hype due to Richmond. Richmond win.
Nubatama too.
Oh yeah, Nubatama's decent. Yeah, with Jamie.
Yo, I think we're just gonna see everything, man. Like,
Yeah, it's gonna be a weird meta because it's only for that event. Like, after that
DP.
event.
Okay.
Oh yeah, DP. Right.
Shout out to Jared because he told me to play DP. I didn't listen because I thought Narukami was just better, but DP apparently is a pretty fair matchup against Bermuda, and it shits on a lot of decks.
Yeah.
yeah. So if we take a look at the previous regionals that we've had, right? There's been a good showing of like basically every clan. Sure, we saw like a big ton of Bermuda for standard in Richmond, right? But then like what was it in Mexico, and what was it before that? Chicago, right? We saw like a pretty decent mix. So if we take Bermuda out of the picture, I think we just see like everything, because like everything is actually pretty playable right now. So like top 8's gonna be like at most 2 of a clan, and then like it's just gonna be like a shit ton of everything. I think.
I still think Tsukiyomi is gonna win.
Oh yeah, Tsukiyomi. The ninth person for standard was actually Tsukiyomi.
That's so sad, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that deck's good.
Yeah.
So if specifically standard, if you had to put your money where your mouth is on one deck to win the event or have the highest representation, what would it be? Let's start with Nicky and Nicky.
Winning the tournament, my money's on Tsukiyomi. The highest representation, I would say Kami.
Yeah, I also think that Narukami is going to have the most players. In terms of winning, though, it's going to be such a big coin flip. I'm not sure. I think Royals might actually take it again.
Back.
Yeah, I have a feeling.
I agree. Narukami is probably going to be played pretty represented a lot, but I got to go with what Jared told me. DP's got to take it. DP really rolls off Narukami just for ridiculous reasons.
Yeah, there's no favorite going into this tournament, unlike where we had Bermuda as a favorite. I guess Narukami, I feel like is going to be the biggest showing, but in terms of favoritism, it's pretty even.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going to win. It's going to be fun to find out, though.
Yeah.
All right, real quick, and premium. Let's go premium. So huge hits on premium. Huge hits. Like, what are we thinking is good for this one Secaucus tournament? What is a good deck?
Philippine, go first.
I think Lord and Neo Nectar are the best decks going in. Basically the format before this was every band deck plus Luard, like in a nutshell, right? Sure, there's like some outliers, like yeah, Neo Nectar was considered pretty good. Kagero won, so
OP.
I mean, like there's other stuff out there, right? But most people were considering it was like the top 5 decks were the 4 band decks and Neo Nectar. I mean, not Neo Nectar. Shadow
Luard.
Paladin. Yeah, Luard. So I'm expecting to see a bunch of that, a bunch of Neo Nectar. Neo Nectar is like a budget option that's pretty good into Luard, so you'll see that too. So I'm mostly expecting to see those 2 decks, I think. What wins? I think one of those 2 decks. Probably Neo Nectar, actually.
I would
I
say.
kind of disagree. I think Ezel is like, I think it's still really, really good, and it just has like really good matches. Now, I do think Neo Nectar is going to be like the most represented, but I do think Ezel is just going to take it.
I agree actually with both of you. I agree Luard and Neo Nectar is going to be represented a lot just because after the ban list. But Ezel is still good for what it's worth, even with the hit of Criff. It's just a 2-card combo versus a 1-card combo. And it can still really explode if they have multiple Wonder Ezels.
Yeah, before
Alright.
this podcast, Nicky was actually telling me that Ezel's still good, but then I gotta see it for myself. I can see it, yeah. But like the thing is that you do lose your like instant superior right off a Bowmain, so you play like a bit more of a fair game. But then aside from that,
Yeah.
it's like you still have like all that power house behind you.
You still have like multiple Excel circles.
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
The fact
You
that
still hit
can,
the guy like 6 times.
You can still Platina and then like Superior Stride into
It's the fact that you get to stride first is what's the problem.
yeah,
Even if you go
always stride
first or second. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, because
No
of
matter
Spear
what.
X.
All right, so are we unanimous? Well, besides Phil, I would vote that Gold wins, to be honest. So the 3 of us, do we agree that if we had to put money on it, that we put Gold?
If the person doesn't get double credit on.
Oh my
No.
God, that's
So,
salty, dude.
I actually have
okay,
a
Dominic got it.
Shout out to Dominic. Shout out to Dominic.
Dominic
Juan.
Wyatt.
Someone pick him up. Someone pick him up.
Yeah, man.
WC.
He's this is like the 4th time I played against him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
this is the
here's another thing going into this, right? I don't think that many people are actually going to be playing Ezel. I feel
I
like
don't think
a lot
so
of the,
either.
yeah, like a lot of the people who consider Ezel are good, I don't think will be there. Like
Yeah.
you guys aren't going to be there. A lot of people haven't put the time and effort into making Ezel like actually playable into this event, and so they're probably just going to go to like Neo Nectar or Luard, right?
All right, quickly put it together after you watch this podcast. Put these all together.
right now.
Yeah, you're paying like
Copy my deck list.
$400. Yeah, it'll be up on the YouTube channel.
Put me on your deck name.
All right, let's wrap this up. Guys. This format is like one tournament, but good luck to everyone who's going to be playing Secaucus. I don't think any Strictly players are going to be there, unfortunately. So if you're a fan already,
Are
sorry
we going
about
to have
that.
Wise players there or no? I'm
New
not
York
sure.
Wise players. Oh, we might actually, but it's not a Wise podcast. But
Oh.
I think some, unfortunately, if you guys play Wise, our Wise players are really good. So, moving right along. Producer Tom, you can put up the Phantasmal Steed picture if that's convenient. Yeah, let's just talk about Phantasmal Steed. So that's sneak peeks this weekend. The podcast was delayed literally because people wanted to open sneaks. Wow, the set is wow is the word to describe it. It's actually really cool. A lot of support for all the decks that it's supporting, and it's really insane. I think after Phantasmal Steed, I think we're gonna see a really different standard metagame. What thoughts do you guys have? I'm gonna lead the discussion with Pale Moon. I literally only play Pale Moon standard. I love Pale Moon. I think all these guys know at this point, and I think that deck is awesome. I think Lukier is awesome.
It is.
Yeah, I think Lukier is now I've heard there are tricks because it costs 2 counterblast. One good play around is actually to keep them at like odd damages. It's actually really like awkward for them. Like 3 is the specific one. Keeping them at 3 is like really awkward for them because they can't even unflip with the grade 2. It's just pretty awkward. What do you guys think of Pale Moon first? Let's talk about Pale Moon first.
We're gonna go back to something we talked about before the podcast. It's the fact that like Narukami against Pale Moon, its Gauntlet Buster is still pretty good against the deck because you don't keep any rear guards, and you can it can honestly destroy them. In my opinion, I could be totally wrong. I just need to see the matchup. But if people are still gonna play Narukami, that can die. But other than that, the combos it can do is pretty ridiculous. If they can do it before any like your opponent can do any of their like blowing up stuff, then you're totally fine.
Yeah, Paladin hits hard and
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah,
You
they
can
have
actually just roll
eight.
under him.
They have 8 19Ks, so in the Excel it's 24, right? They have 8 viable 19Ks. They're like
Yeah.
really easy conditions.
Without boost.
And without boost, they have like a 20K shield on a grade 2, which is already also insane. It intercepts for 20K, so it gets around like call from hand guard restriction because you can intercept with it 20K. And it has a cantripping plussing grade 1 ride. So like it's like everything a deck wants. Deck looks and the grade 3 that draws you 3 cards end of the turn for no reason.
Yeah. And it's grade 3. Like so you can ride again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the deck's
I
strong.
think-
The deck's
yeah.
strong.
Yeah,
I
everything in Phantasmal is like really good.
Yeah.
If you see me at a standard tournament, I'm 100% playing Luke here. I'll just right now. I'm not even good. I'm not sponsored or anything, but I'm gonna be playing Luke here.
You're not
What do you guys
sponsored,
think
you
about
own
this?
this team.
Me.
What? What? Okay, let's talk about the other clans. My little situation on the side is done for now. What do you guys think of the other 3 clans?
I think everything in this set is good. It's actually crazy.
Yeah.
Like I think it's been a while since like we've seen a set where just like literally every clan in it is just like this playable. It's like meta defining basically. Last time we saw this was like the set
AL4,
with
I think?
Ezel in it. AL4.
Yeah.
Last thing I think I remember is Ultra Rare Miracle. Because those 3 decks
Yeah,
are
ultra.
Yeah.
Ultra
Yeah. But yeah, like all 3 of these decks are like going to be basically top tier meta, and it's I don't know what to say. It's just really strong. Everything has its like really strong points going forward with these 4 decks.
I think it's good because it adds more variety.
These
than
4
one
decks are
overpowering
just
plan.
like crazy good.
Well,
Like,
let's dive into a little bit. So for shadows, you have restanding blaster darks. You have unguardable or like unPGable card with crit. You have 3 force markers on first ride if you go second.
Yeah, so this
potentially-
deck has like 3 big things going for it, right? It has a Mordred, which restands your blaster blades and gives you a bunch of markers, and then it has a waterfall, which waterfalls your opponent after you get those markers, and it has on the main engine, which is silly because you've had that before. That deck, that engine's so busted, man. Like what the hell? Yeah, like putting all 3 of those together, you get this crazy ass deck that just dumpsters people. You go into either of the 3 options to like win games. Well, I guess one of the 2 options. Third one's just like an advantage engine, but yeah, it's strong.
It's no more of the blowing up game like where you just blow up your opponent's board. It's very much control and swinging for fat numbers.
Yeah, you're just killing the guy now.
Yeah.
No board control, just go.
So other than that, do you think the Dorant engine replaces the Machikaran engine? That's like the one question people are wondering a lot. Actually.
I think that's a choice of player. I think it's a player preference thing.
Yeah, I'm not really sure.
Yeah, there were some builds online that didn't even run both. I think like the winner of the VMC didn't run either.
Yeah.
The deck has a lot of variations where you can mix things in. That's why it's pretty good right now.
Yeah, and that grade 2 that like PGs if you gets called a guard from like field is like really good.
Yeah.
So, and it combos with that grade 1 that like Soul Blast moves it.
Yeah.
DI. Well, what do you guys? DI. I think standard DI is looking quite good actually. I saw the cards. You have some insane guard restrictions. You have some insane numbers too. They hit huge numbers. What do you guys think?
So I've been testing DI a lot. Like just mostly against like Pale Moon and just like popular decks, and I think it's a really good deck. I think it just wins second turn of grade 3 just because like it's so consistent and get off that like guard restrict you have with Variant's hard leg, and where like it makes your opponent call 3 cards from to guard. And so like if you're attacking with like an NOK and that's like a 4 attack turn, Like that's 12 cards they have to ditch. Ditch like potentially 4 cards they have to ditch if they're like PG. They have to PG, and like if they're at 5, they're definitely not. They definitely can't live that unless they're like OT. A majillion cards in hand.
Yeah. It's also a Protect clan, so you just actually get to stay alive until the second grade 3 turns, so you don't randomly blow up, which is really nice.
Yeah.
The only issue with the deck, like, it's such a powerhouse, right? You get the second grade 3 turn, and you can just blow your opponent out because they just can't guard. But then it's the only issue that you're really going to run into is getting to that point, because sometimes like you won't have the setup, sometimes I don't know. That's basically it. If you don't get the setup, it sucks. But most of the time, you will get the setup, and so you just got to play right.
That deck seems more setup reliant than, I mean, maybe on the
all
same
the
level
other
as
3
Pale Moon.
decks, I
It's
think.
fairly like that and Pale Moon. Those 2 decks are fairly setup reliant. We've seen setup reliant decks never do well, or not never do well, but they tend to do worse because they're so reliant on like a setup, right?
Yeah,
Versus
they're
Shadows.
just they're like naturally harder to pilot, so it's easier to like kind of screw up on them, and so that's where the main issue comes from. But if you look at like high level, it's usually not an issue there.
Yeah, they got a lot of really good. Like Emblem Master is just like crazy good, and along with Brewfist, like it just adds so much consistency to the deck.
Yeah.
What about Murakumo? I think the weakest out of the 4, but still very good.
I actually like Murakumo the most out of the
Yeah.
4 personally. It's really
Hyuga is-
strong. Yeah.
Yeah,
he
that
gets
grade
crazy.
3 is too good.
Hyuga, it's not about wiping your opponent's board. That's a bonus. The big part
Yeah.
is about getting all the naming right, so that all your
Yeah.
dudes gain like some infinite amount of power.
Yeah.
And you hit really hard when you go into Hyuga second grade 3 turn.
Yeah, and you have like
opponent's probably dead.
cell circle or 2, so like you're attacking like for those huge numbers, like more than 3 times.
Yeah. The other thing is that the defense of that deck is crazy because you play the Shiranui, right?
Yeah.
Shiranui, right?
Sure, Yuki.
Shirayuki. Sorry,
Yuki,
yeah.
Shiranui.
Shirayuki. my bad. Yeah, Shirayuki, like that card's nuts, man. Like minus 10k on 3 of your opponent's guys. It's like really good on defense. You can do it on offense too if you need to. Oh shit.
I don't think you'll have the soul to do Shiroyuki and the grade 3, right?
You do one.
You don't use any soul in that deck.
You
And
need,
if
but
it-
you need only grade 3 soul for all those card effects, I think.
No,
It's all
so
grade-
for Hyuga, you need a Soul Blast at grade 3 to return cards, but for naming wise, I think
It's just
the changing
Counterblast
names is
1.
Counterblast 1.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So you
I
can
was
go.
just-
Sorry,
sorry.
go ahead.
No,
Okay,
that's
I
fine.
was gonna say you can go into Hyuga and just instantly kill your opponent, or if you have double Shiryuki, you can do that too. That'll probably hurt them a lot as well. But you have a lot of like sustain options and a lot of kill options. So the deck's really versatile. If you want, you can play the Zanbaku engine too, just to like stun your opponent for a turn. I don't know how good that is. I heard it's pretty neat though. But yeah, you have a lot of options to play with, and they're all good.
Yeah, I think the Shiryuki engine is just like really good. It's such a like small engine that you can run, and it's just crazy good.
Yeah, it's like 8 cards shoved into your deck. Like what the hell, man? The grade 2
Yeah.
Jokotsu girl's nuts, man. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess I'm probably misevaluating Murakumo. What is the top, I guess, the top clan coming out of this booster, out of the 4, and then what is the top couple decks or 3 decks, let's say 3 decks of the format after the set releases? And are they all from Phantasmal? Steve, what do you guys think? What's the best out of the 4, first of all?
That's really hard.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
hard.
If you
I've
had
been
to,
asking myself that the whole time. I'm trying to decide a deck.
I would give an edge to Murakumo. It's very
Yeah.
slight. It's very slight.
I think what's doing well in Japan is Murakumo and Shadows. Those are the top 2. The third one, you can give it to either DI or Pale Moon, but those, I think it's probably Pale Moon, but
I think
The top
top 2
two.
as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing is that in Japan, Murakumo has a promo grade 2 that we don't have, so that might like that creates a difference in the meta.
Yeah, that is a big deal. Yeah.
Yeah, but I do think I honestly, in my opinion, I think Shadows is like the least, and it's like a tie between like Pale Moon DI and that's just my opinion because Shadows like you can't use Mordred if your opponent's on at grade 3, so that's like a big like you can't like go first and nut on your opponent while the other 3 can. So that's really
Yeah,
big.
that's actually a really big deal.
Yeah.
I do feel like we are going into a format where going first, it's really prevalent right now, but going first means like a lot. Like it could potentially mean more than what deck you're playing, because every deck is going to kill you on their second grade 3 turn, right?
Yeah.
So what makes a deck good is going to be like how consistently you can kill your opponent on your second grade 3 turn, and how well you can potentially live it so that you can kill them on your second grade 3 turn. It's going to be really interesting.
Die roll,
Alright.
man.
Yeah, that roll is going to mean a lot now.
Not that anyone cares, but my vote's Pale Moon for.
Pale
not
Moon's a
even
good
not
deck, don't
not
worry.
even Luke here, man. I'm going gun salute, riding over the grade 3
Whoa,
that gives
whoa,
an
whoa,
extra 10.
whoa,
12 crit. 12 crit. I'm joking. Guys, don't listen to my opinion. I'll only get you 04 in a turn. Moving on from Phantasmal Steed. You guys can pick up pre-orders, by the way, on strictlybroken.tcg.com. Code stand up exclamation to get 5% off. Pre-orders will be up probably on the Tuesday following this podcast release. So get those singles. Our prices are pretty good. We have sick international shipping rates for people who are outside of Canada. I'm plugging super hard, but it's
Yeah.
okay. We're moving on.
Shameless
We're moving
plug.
right along. Shameless
Support the
plug.
channel.
Yeah,
Moving
it's-
right along. Supporting the channel, yeah. Moving right along. Tom, if you can transition here, it's a perfect one. We're not going to talk about like tournaments or anything. This was a big thing that's been going on for a couple of weeks since Chicago. The regional that Phil won. This was for premium. At that tournament, there was an incident. You guys all know by now, and that incident has resulted in a player being kicked from his team. He had to deactivate his Facebook, his social media.
Oh
And
man.
yeah, and then finally this week, the big whopper is that this week Bushiroad releases a statement talking about the situation. In the statement, they basically outlined their decision-making process, what they think, how they define their calls, and I think in general, the community is not very happy with the calls that were made in the situation, because the player that allegedly cheated did not get banned. He did not even get a game loss. He just got a warning. If anyone wants to describe the specific situation that happened that the Bushiroad statement outlines, you can go ahead. But and what do you think about all of this?
I definitely think shit, I'm trying not to say his name. I definitely think that the judges were very lenient in that like scenario. They should have been a little more strict. And I don't know, maybe it was like the location, or maybe it was just the judges not doing like their job correctly. But I definitely think that they should have been more strict.
Yeah, it definitely should have gone to at least the game loss. That I think everyone can agree on.
Yeah.
The statement itself is interesting, though. From my point of view, it came out very late, because it came out like maybe 2 weeks after the incident.
Mm-hmm.
So that was like everyone kind of like forgot about it by then, and then all of a sudden this came out, and everyone's like, "What the hell? What is this?" Right? The other thing is that I think this is Bushiroad's way of saying, "We can't do anything about this right now, but the next time it happens, let us know." Because it's already so late, right? Like they can't really do anything about it. They can't go back in time and be like, yeah, you now have a game loss, or you're banned, or whatever, right? But this is their way of saying, like, make sure this doesn't happen again to you by letting a judge know and letting a head judge know. So I think this approach, like, it defends themselves by like not really putting anything like too harsh out there, and it basically lets the community know to like be aware of this kind of stuff, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
So I think this is okay from them. It's unfortunate of how this went down, but like currently this is where we stand.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. I think it's very unfortunate of how the whole interaction went. But I don't think there's really much that Bushiroad could do, because I've never heard them banning players like how Konami does. It's just now. I think it's just a fair signal to all players. Even though you're playing, always double check, like even guard value. It's just double check math, double check card effects, double check if what your opponent is telling you is true or not. Because like sometimes I sometimes don't. I believe my opponent when I shouldn't be. I always have to double check just to make sure I'm not getting scummed. It's just more of this. This is a notice to players. just to check your stuff while you're playing. So none of this like shady stuff happens.
Yeah.
We've actually had one person get banned by Bushiroad. I think it happened 2 years ago.
Really?
It was
I don't remember that.
the Kagro Queen. Yeah, remember?
Oh yes, I remember. I remember.
Jesus.
What was
I
her
don't remember
name?
this.
Helen.
I don't remember her name, but I do remember the incident.
Yeah, it was that like she was on like the Can You See G blog, and she got interviewed, and like right after that, like a video of her like adding a heel back from her drop to hand got like surfaced. It was, I think it was in like France or something.
I think it was in France. Yeah.
Yeah, and like later that like after all like the Facebook drama and stuff, we sure like announced like a ban on her, and I think she got unbanned maybe like last year or the beginning of this last year.
Oh, short band.
Yeah.
It was a 2-year ban, I think. So was it?
Maybe. The only other person I can think of that would have potentially gotten banned was the guy who won Worlds in the second year. I don't remember exactly what his name was, but he was the guy who basically won Worlds and then like robbed this car shop, right? Do you remember this?
I didn't play it during this time.
Oh,
so I'm
okay,
not too
okay.
sure.
It's from a long time ago. You can
Was
like
it the dude who played Golds?
No,
No,
not
yeah.
him. He was playing something else. It was the second year. The guy who won with Worlds was Brendan Smith.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
That was
this
the
is
first
someone
year.
else.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this-
this was first year. The second year guy, maybe look him up. It's interesting.
All in all, so you guys don't agree with the call, but this late response, you guys think there was some important things that were said by Bushiroad and to warn players to always check, right? So I
Yeah.
guess all in all, I'm genuinely I feel bad for the player. And I know this is gonna be spun some way if someone sees this. Like I think what he did was completely wrong, but the fact that his team dropped him, that he basically can't use social media anymore at the moment, like now he has some time to I guess reflect and like.
Yeah.
reflect
I'm
on
actually
it,
not
right?
too sure if he quit. You know, like I guess we'll see if he quit really if he's at this next regionals, because I think this next regionals is like around.
That's his
His
hometown.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So
if he's
we'll see
playing in that,
officially.
then he's still playing. We'll find
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, if you guys play him, make sure he doesn't drive check on rear guards.
Oh, just one last comment on this. It's so a lot of people get this fear of when they see a well-known player, they trust their saying. Like you like don't get intimidated just because the person is like famous or whatever. Like they always just double check.
Yeah.
Because like even in Yu-Gi-Oh, a lot of good players cheat, and that's how they're well known, and like they top a lot. So you got to be just watching what they're doing. Just be more mindful. Like I'm not saying he cheat because it could have been an accident, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, in a game of like in any game really, it's just player versus player. You know, their name doesn't mean anything. It's just one fighter versus another. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
One of the store's telephones is ringing.
Oh,
I don't know if you guys can hear it in the thing. Can you guys hear it?
Oh, now we can hear it.
We
Yeah.
can hear it now.
Yeah. Just give it a sec for it to, I guess.
We can cut
stop.
this
We're
out.
closed at the
Quiet down.
moment. I don't know who's calling. This probably wants something about their order actually.
We want those Hidden Fates ETBs, man.
Yeah, everyone. Oh my
Trying to
god.
pre-order it right now.
I'm
So
close.
excited.
I'm close.
Pre-order at strictlybroken.com. Stand up ! For 5% off.
But yeah, all in all, like now that the phone call has stopped ringing, yeah, I totally agree with the sentiment there. Like I come from Waste, right? And to be honest, I sometimes use the fact that I'm well known to my advantage. You can really make some beginners feel very scared and make a really suboptimal play just by saying like, "Are you sure you want to do that?"
Don't.
That's not what we support. Our sponsored players are the most, the best players, the most nicest players, the nicest guy you always talk to them. But me, I'm not. That's why I'm not sponsored.
This guy. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like, listen to what Simon says, guys. Good players, don't be scared of them. They're just people, and honestly, a lot of good players top. Oh, the phone. This guy really wants his Hidden Fates. Let's let's move on to the next topic. I'm gonna mute myself for a sec to check the phone. You guys can maybe talk about the situation a little bit more.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
We can move on to the next topic.
Yeah. So the CharaExpo. About the history of the AL4 versus or Q4 versus AL4 set.
Oh yeah,
How
they finally
people are
released that, huh?
Yeah.
how people are pre-selling these sets for large amounts of money.
Mhm.
Overall thoughts.
So I didn't actually know about the pre-selling because I haven't been paying too much attention, but I can definitely see that, and I can definitely see like people making a lot of money from that. I don't know who is actually pre-ordering these for large amounts of money though.
Yeah, it definitely deserves. I personally think it deserves like its price. I think anything that's like limited like that. I think it was like limited to like $750 per day, so like
Yeah.
1,500 total.
Yeah.
Like that's like not that
right.
much. So
It's
and like
expensive.
plus you have to be at the event, and it costs like $90 to buy, and you have to
Yeah,
like wait in line. You have to go to CharaExpo, like buy a ticket and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like I definitely think it deserves to be like at
Inflated a
whatever
little bit.
price. Yeah. Like last year's, I think it sold for like 200, 300. So this year should sell maybe even more, 300.
Yeah, I agree with the inflation as well. I'm just not sure how inflated it really should be. It's like it kind of just blows my mind a little bit personally.
Mhm.
That's
think
just
it-
me though. Yeah.
I think right now the old set, bro, like it's broken even at around like 200 right now. I mean, the previous pricing around like people asking more than 500 is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, a little
Yeah.
bit, yeah. But it definitely deserves to be like a lot higher than it. Like,
But hey,
yeah,
gotta make your money, right?
Yeah, 200, I guess, is fine. But yeah,
200,
it's
250, I think is fine. Yeah.
it's a limited set. It's a very like sought out set. Everyone wants this set, and the fact that it's just hard to get is just it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking on the perspective, I'm back. It was actually hidden. Who called hidden face? Some
It
guys
was
like
me.
they're like some guys just like, yo, are you guys gonna have this? Can I reserve? I'm like, no.
Oh, that's
No.
bad, man.
No. But yeah, speaking on the perspective of a store, I find it just hilarious that people are like on the group going like, yo, DM me, PM me, I can give me the pre-order money and I will pick those up for you. That's like wow.
It's the crazy
Yeah.
part is it's the fact that the person has to wait in line and it's limited 2 per person, and the line Yuwei and Nicky and I were both at CharaExpo last year, and the line for that thing was really ridiculous.
Yeah,
Like the tournament didn't start for 2 hours. Like
it was crazy.
Wow. Wait, hold on. The tournament didn't start for 2 hours because people were in line for this?
they messed up the lines because they merged the lines. And they were the year before they separated to people who wanted to play in the event and people who were for the anime stuff. But this one was just one giant line combined, and it just snaked like
Oh, Jesus.
ridiculously.
It went like
That's
4
crazy.
times around like the building, like not like the building, but like this like small like square
The
inside
plaza.
plaza. Yeah, it was so.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I will be there, not playing the tournament. I'll tell you guys that much. I'm not gonna say anything else. I'm going to be at CharaExpo. I'm not playing Vanguard Away, Spuddy Fight Premium, nothing. So you guys can guess what I'm doing. Watching wrestling. I'm watching wrestling in the back.
No,
Or
man,
wrestling.
he's gonna be pumping to anime.
Oh yeah, it's
Yeah.
a little close.
Bang
It is
Dreams,
CharaExpo. There's a lot of stuff to do there, not just
Yeah.
Vanguard, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess that was the topic, right? Anything else you guys want to add to it? You guys moved on to this. Wow, I was hidden face.
Hidden
Yeah,
fans.
man, I can't wait for Ezel. I gotta get those platinum.
Yeah, this set's pretty lit.
Yeah.
I do like how they make these though. They are really cool. Just to
Really
have.
I'm just-
made.
I'm just
Question
bothered
is-
that they're reprinting Blaster Blade and Blaster Dark and not like
Oh,
for the
again.
bajillion time.
Yeah.
Again, yeah, that doesn't deserve like is not needed.
Yeah.
I guess it's
that
just
part
like
I don't know.
protagonist card. People like that.
Yeah.
So sad.
Dude, is there a Pale Moon card?
No,
No.
no, I don't think so.
Oh my god.
Maybe on the side.
my God.
Is it guaranteed? Like everything?
Yeah,
It's-
everything's been announced.
Yeah,
Oh, damn, rip. No Alice this time. No Licky.
it's cool.
Yeah.
It's okay. Ezel's all day.
But
All right. Anything else you guys want to add about the product?
Not about the product, I don't think.
It
I don't.
costs 90, guys. I know. I know it probably demands like. I think the conclusion was that it's worth like it will probably demand that price, and that's actually a fairly reasonable price. Like in terms of like you talk about scalping tickets, you talk about like concert tickets, all that stuff. It's fairly reasonable, 300. But you know,
It is a high price.
Yeah, base cost is 90, guys. If you're in the US, I think flying there is actually just cheaper.
That's true.
Yeah.
Maybe.
No, it's the fact that Europe and Asia they don't Singapore they don't get it. That's why they can inflate it for so high. I remember
Yeah.
Solemn Vanguard was talking about it. It's because Europeans they can't get it.
Mhm.
That makes sense.
Fair
Yeah.
enough. Anyways, that's that. Last topic that we want to talk about. And this was really recent. This was literally, I think
it was today.
Yeah, it was today around
Yeah.
noon. Today around noon, I'm just, busy like learning Japanese. I'm trying to learn Japanese. I was just busy learning Japanese, and suddenly I'm like, wait, I don't think I've seen these cards in. But what's going on? And I look, and it seems like through some weird circumstances, there was some leaks on all the VRs for Infinite Deity Cradle. All of the VRs were leaked because of a Bushiroad PowerPoint that they released on their site. And if you remove the block that censored out the effect, you can actually just see the effect. And so now we just have the 4 cards available. 2 of them we already knew, but the 2 other ones we didn't. Now we know the card effects. Now I don't know if they're gonna now change the effects because of this. Like, you don't think
Most
so?
likely not. Most
No,
likely
this was
not.
Bushiroad's plan all along. They wanted somebody to find this.
That's also possible. That's also possible.
That's what I was thinking. Like, what if this is some next level play to get like people so confused and hyped? Because then they just change the effect the next week. I don't know. But before we talk about the cards, what are your guys' thoughts that like something like this can happen? This is a big international company, and like I know this happens all the time in other games too, and it's actually fairly reasonable. But how did they let this slide that a black bar that's censoring text doesn't actually cover it if you move the black bar?
I think we've had a lot of misprints in the past couple sets, which can kind of validate Bushiroad's lack of double checking their stuff. What was it? The DP card that they misprinted the image.
Yeah.
And a lot of
one, yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of cards have wrong text.
Yeah, mistakes happen. Mistakes definitely happen. This mistake is a big mistake.
Yeah,
and I feel like I feel like this is one of those mistakes that'll happen once, and hopefully it won't happen again. I mean, if it happens again, more spoilers for us, right? But like most likely, this will not happen again. So
yeah, they usually learn off their mistakes. They definitely make a lot of mistakes, but sometimes they learn from them.
yeah, let's just hope they learn from it this time. Or
7
don't learn
years.
it.
7
Yeah.
years.
I don't think this one like hurts like at all. Like
No,
we saw some card effects early. Like doesn't change.
Yeah, it's not a big deal.
It's like,
All right, let's talk about the cards. So the 2 new cards, correct me if I'm wrong, the 2 new cards that we did not know was the Angel Feather effect and the
Genesis.
Genesis.
We didn't know the Genesis effect?
We
No,
didn't know
we
the
did not.
Genesis one.
Yeah.
All right, so Angel Feathers and Genesis. What are your guys' thoughts on the Angel card? Okay, first of all, there's some ruling questions that I think need to be clarified. So one thing that most people should know by now is that the damage that you take, you don't get a trigger check off of it. That's like an obvious one, I think.
yeah.
At this point, people should be aware of that because it's not like a trigger, and it doesn't say drive check or anything or trigger apply trigger effects. The one that I'm kind of curious about is like, does it work exactly like the way I think it does? Like if you push your opponent to 5 and then you swing, like if they take the damage, they die, right? Because they can't take it and then heal. Because the card puts 2 cards on the board into damage, and then that's on the Vanguard swing. If they go into your opponent's damage and the card hits, do they just die if they're at 3?
No, so it's an on place effect.
Oh, it's an on place effect.
Yeah.
Okay.
And second, it's so let's say so the Angel Feather player that's placing the card, they choose 2 of any. So if they put 2 of your opponent's cards into the damage, then they heal 2. So there's no way for them to increase or like decrease damage. Like the damage, no matter what, stays the same. They always put 2 from board to damage, and they always heal that amount.
What if they're already at 4? What if they're already at 4?
If they go from to 6
stay
and
at
then back
4.
down to 4, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the only
it's mid resolution of an effect.
Yeah, because I forgot what, it just doesn't check the resolution until after the effects.
The easy way to say it is that's just how it works.
Yeah, you can't. The game checks. Yeah, the game checks. The game is over after the effect resolves. So after the effect resolves, they'll be at 4 damage because you put 2 cards, so going from 4 to 6, and then the heal 2 going back to 6 to 4.
There are older cards that did that as well. Like BT09 Metatron from way back also did a similar effect like that, where you would counterblast 1, pick 2 of your guys, put them into damage, pull 2 guys out. You didn't die from that. It's just how it works. So don't worry about that.
So if you guys ever needed a ruling clarification, there you go. There's a couple. Those are the ones I got confused on with that card specifically.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think?
Call head judge. The card sucks.
Yeah.
I think the card is absolute garbage. Like it's
free counter charge, man. Leave it alone.
It gives your opponent free counter charge.
It's not free.
And if it's whoever you're giving free counter charge to, they're losing cards on board. But like, let's say you're making your opponent lose some cards on board, and they're counter charging for free. And let's say you want to counter charge for free, you gotta lose some cards on board. It's so bad. And it's
not good.
Yeah,
maybe this card is meant to get rid of the cards that rely on how people are using Protect 2. Maybe you bounce back the 2.
No. They're not introducing a mechanic to stop Protect 2. There's other cards like Destruction that do that already.
Yeah, anything that retires more.
So here's the thing with this card, right? We don't actually know what the rest of the Aquaforce, oh my god, Angel Feather cards. We don't actually know what they do yet, right? So this is like the one card that we got, which we shouldn't have gotten yet, by the way. So there could be a bunch of other cards that actually make this card good. Like right now, we just know that this card sucks in a vacuum, but what else does it get, right?
Yeah.
Like think about it this way. Like if you had a card that says, when you play this card, you lose the game, all right? That card sucks dick. You would not play it, right? But what if you had another card that says,
family-friendly show. Family-friendly.
Sorry. So yeah, if you have a card that says you lose the game, but then if you have some other card that says, if this card's on the field and you lose the game using the first card's effect, you actually win the game, all of a sudden your deck's really good, right? Like it's just a matter of what cards we get along with this card. We need to know that before we can actually really say. But in a vacuum, this card sucks dick. I mean, it's really bad.
Very possible card that like this card could like get support from is like a grade 1 that gets guard restrict. And
I think if you get a card that gets put, its effect is if you gets put into the damage, then it calls itself back out. Then it would make this card busted.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it would give you a free heal basically.
Yeah, but any like guard restrict like that it would get, then it would actually be pretty good because it gets like 25 if your opponent has 5 face-up damage. So that would make it a 37 minus boost. Like it would be pretty good. Like if it had like a you can't use PG's guard restrict, that'd be pretty good.
We just gotta see basically,
Yeah. Just like print more Zeracula, like a ton of more Zeracula type effects. That'd be pretty cool. Like an exact clone of Zeracula, different name, and then just rewrite on top.
That could work, yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. The other card, the Genesis card, is now. This card has a lot of effects. I don't know if Vanguard cards are supposed to have this many effects.
Some do. I don't know.
Multiple act abilities. Like I don't even remember all of them, man. What do you guys think? What do you guys think of the Genesis card?
It's pretty good. It supports the like new stuff coming out, the Astral Plane, and I guess we just have to see how that like mechanic works out. So what it does is just like it gets an imaginary force and puts it on your band, and if it can like draw a card, but if you have a astral unit in the back, and it also gives you an astral plane. Sorry, so that's like a good way to get it. Because you can only get it through an effect, I believe. So I guess it's just something that Astral Plane deck needed.
Yeah,
It's
like
decent.
yeah, what Nicky said. The card itself is decent. It's nothing amazing, but it's what the deck needed. Like I think a lot of the people who were considering to playing the Astral Plane deck was like, what if there's only one grade 3 that gives you the Astral Plane, right? That would be a nightmare. Because if you don't have Uranus, you can't play the deck basically. But this actually gives you like a second grade 3 that you can rely on, so that's a big deal.
Yeah, I like the fact that this card, the Genesis, is more pushing towards the fact that people have to use old Force One, similar to like the next Shadow Paladin. You usually get Force Ones. It's more towards the power boost versus getting crits and just critting your opponent to death. That's the only thing I like about this card. It's more changing the gameplay.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the whole Astral Plane mechanic rewards Force 1 more than Force 2.
Yeah.
There are some funny things you can do with Force 2 though. Like you can really cheese somebody with Force 2 if you like start getting like Force 2s on your Vanguard really early. It's
Yeah.
kind of stupid. Yeah.
Yeah, you can cheese hard, but like later in the game, like if it doesn't, the
dead.
cheese doesn't work, then like you start like losing value.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
because
sure.
you can only you only all the force markers have to be on your Vanguard, so your own Vanguard can only stack 2 crits, which
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah. You'll have like 1 live one and then 4 like just dead ones sitting
dead.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was bad. So now the concern for me here is this. Okay. Our hope was that all the power levels were even, and then Novas wouldn't look as broken. But I think as it currently stands, just by judging VR, so don't get me wrong, rear guards can sometimes, not rear guards, triple R's and stuff can sometimes be very powerful. But like, as it currently stands, it seems Nova is miles above these other decks.
Yeah, God Hand is busted.
Godhead is busted. Like, isn't that a bit like that's concerning for me?
Yeah, that's
The
crazy.
power level's like
No,
huge, man.
the good thing about this, it's not so bad because now it's pushing players towards using cards that are getting phased out, like force ones, and now this one is pushing the idea of using more fronts. If anything, they're just cards that you rely on the different mechanics, pushing the different mechanics into the game more.
Yeah, I'm not worried. We've had one deck formats before. Remember Gear Chronicle from G era? That was a nightmare. But we all survived that, and now we live in a world where we don't have to deal with that anymore.
Yeah.
We lived in a world instead where we had to deal with Bermuda Triangle running amok and Lieselotting U turn 1, Lieselotting U turn 2, that kind of thing, right? Like every deck's gonna come out, and then like there might be 1 or 2 that are just like completely like busted, right? But then the game will stabilize and it'll be fine over the long term.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they actually got two more cards today that just one of them gives more cards to the fronts, and like it's just front like drive checking a front trigger now is just gonna like have your columns be like Bermuda columns now. It's actually crazy.
Yeah.
It's
a lot of people have brought up like consistency issues. Those definitely exist. So like I don't know.
It's also worth noting, like it's worth noting that if you go against like Murakumo with that deck, if they even survive your turn for 1 turn, I think you auto lose. They'll like shuffle away your whole board, and then or like even like there's like a bunch of cards that could do that. They just lose their whole board and they're just dead. I think so. Maybe not the end of the world.
This deck, the God Hand just doesn't let you helps you not have to commit a board, so you don't lose the board. So you can just put 3 rear guards into your front, hit a front trigger, your columns plus 30, and then just swing, and then they wipe your board. You lost only 3 cards, so it's not so bad.
But the thing is, like, you have to commit a bit more because the rear guard that stacks the actual front, like, it's. I mean, are you gonna attack with it? Maybe you do attack with it.
Yeah,
you can just attack with it.
Yeah. I mean, the rear guard's gonna swing for like 30 something K.
Yeah, so yeah, it doesn't even matter.
There's going to be a lot of ways to play as it and against it. It's just going to come down to a matter of what's good at the moment. We also don't really know everything else that's coming out in that set, so it's too early to say. Who knows? Maybe Angel Feather actually gets like the most busted cards, and you can actually just heal 2 using a go heal. Like who knows, right?
Yeah, like, maybe that deck will just stack heals, like Nova stacked fronts.
Yeah. What if we actually get a card that says when this card hits your damage zone, you can call it? Like Holy shit, right?
Call it to like hit damage zone. What does it call it to? Call it to rear. That'd be pretty good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
call to rear. Add to hand.
If
I
they
don't know,
make
fuck.
that card is what's gonna be the card that makes that card good.
Yeah,
Or,
like
or
there's
call it to van.
or
Call it
add to
van.
hand. Like who
Yeah,
knows?
add to
right?
hand too.
Yeah.
On opponent's turn, call the van, and it's like a 20k base.
Yeah, but we're
Okay.
just giving false hope to Angel Feather. Because right
Yeah.
now they're just like in the bottom of the barrel right now.
Yeah,
Mhm.
man. It's okay.
All right. Anything else you guys want to say about these spoilers that we shouldn't have gotten?
Yeah.
I
I think
love
it's
you,
just it's too early to panic. That's basically it.
More content for
You
us.
can panic after everything comes out. Like that's when you
It's okay.
panic.
It's
Yeah.
not until what, November 22nd? So we
Yeah,
got time.
you panic at CharaExpo.
And
Yeah.
Panic at CharaExpo and come watch wrestling with me. All right,
Or you-
guys. All right, guys. We've been here for an hour now. And yeah, I think that's about it for this podcast. Guys, any shout outs you want to give or any last words?
Oh man, wasn't it Nicky's birthday just a couple days ago?
Happy birthday.
yeah.
Thank
you.
Happy
Thank
birthday,
you.
Nicky. Shout out.
Thank
Nicky
you.
Goldman, sponsored player. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
catch him at Houston, man.
Yeah, you see me at Houston. Don't be scared to say hi. I'll be there.
He'll sign your stuff for you.
Oh yeah.
Sure. I'll sign anything.
Oh,
Careful
one
what
more-
you say, man. Someone might take off their pants and you might have to sign something you don't want to sign.
Whoa.
Uh,
Family
saying,
friendly
just
show, Phil. Yeah. Any other shout outs besides Nicky's birthday?
Shout out to let's see, Steven, Simon, Tyler, all making third, fourth. Who else? I'm sorry.
Wei.
Wei.
Wei
Yeah,
Ho
my bad. Yeah, shout out to all you guys for making third and fourth two times in a row.
Yeah, I was representing the brand.
Yeah, dude.
I want to give a shout out to my mom for loving me.
Big shout
Yeah,
out.
shout out
No
to
one else
Yuwei's
does.
mom too.
Whoa! All right. I think that's a good place to end it. Just a little last bit of house cleaning before we sign off. Because a lot of people have asked me on YouTube and on message. We will launch merch. We will launch these sick playmats. I'm just gonna give you guys like a quick sneak. There's these sick playmats that we're gonna launch that have like these awesome designs designed by our exclusive artist. You can check them out. Shout outs to you, Sam Kalensky Studios. That's my shout out. And yeah, we're gonna launch merch, t-shirts, mats, sweaters, stuff for you guys to buy. So if that answers your question, to all those guys, I just wanted to answer it all. So
Remember, use Strictly Broken exclamation mark for 5
Oh.
or no, sorry, stand up at strictlybroken.com.
oh, this guy's plugging it for me. Awesome.
Oh yeah, you're welcome.
Is there a space between stand and up?
No space. Stand up
stand-
exclamation, all caps.
You heard that, guys. No space.
5% off.
5% off. Get your Phantasmal Steed Liberation. Get your Pale Moon. Actually, you probably won't because they're all in a binder.
Catch us at regionals.
Yeah,
Get your hidden
catch the team at regionals.
ATVs, man.
Yeah.
Oh, catch the team at regionals. Oh, the one question I get is how to get sponsored. I make a video about that, so stay tuned for that. We look at every result. We have literally a guy that just sits on a computer and looks at results. That's not his only job, but that's something that he does. So if you think you deserve to be sponsored and deserve a chance to have your voice heard and everything, you will be if you continue to put up those results and continue to be a positive light on certain people at Chicago. And yeah, let's just end it there. Let's just end it there, guys. Thanks for being on the show, guys. I really appreciate it, and hopefully we'll be doing this again next week. So stay tuned, guys. And peace.
See you guys
Peace.
next week.